Known for his liberal views, support of Black Lives Matter, and teaching systemic racism, Sam Richards still cautions, once we justify killing those we oppose, Charlie Kirk's case, civil war is near. Dialogue is survival. The students seem to not understand.
This thing could go south, okay? You know what I mean by that, going south, okay?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I just would like to know in what ways he showed that he was changing his mind, or maybe he showed some progression in his thinking. He made a very good point. It was prove me wrong, but it was never for the benefit. Like being able to look at someone with an opposing opinion and say, I take no offense, it's not hating on me, it's your opinion, it's your stance, I respect it, is something he did rarely. And I think even again in relation to who he was talking to, he's 31, or correct?
Yeah.
He's in his 30s arguing with college students and pushing a fake prove me wrong narrative. I'm going to listen to you. No, you're not.
Here.
Charlie Kirk is unapologetically strong in his views, but when debating students, he gave space for anyone to challenge him, even those who swore at him. In that sense, he provided a real platform for dialogue, something rarely seen among progressive campus speakers. Kirk distinguishes between respecting a person's right to hold views and endorsing views he believes are harmful. He defends the freedom without affirming the content. Critics note his age, 31, compared to students, 18 to 21, yet professors decades older routinely teach students, often leaning left. Surveys show most U.S. professors identify as liberal, which influences campus culture. Turning Point USA, Kirk's organization, tapped into a real demand from students seeking an alternative to that liberal majority. It provides conservatives on campus with arguments to rationally defend their positions in environments where progressive perspectives dominate.
I'll tell you how I know that he shifted his thinking, because you cannot be engaged with human beings in the way that he was and the way that I am, day after day after day. You cannot engage at that level and shift the way you see the world. And I listened to the complexity of his arguments over time, and I'm like, yeah, that dude's like, these things are getting to him.
A liberal professor is trying to warn them that even he could be the next target. He often engages with people publicly, and many reject his views. However, his older form of liberalism is generally more peaceful. People might disagree strongly and argue their case, but they didn't expect violence to follow. It doesn't condone violence against the professor or anyone else, but what seems to trouble him is that the younger generation of liberals are more willing to push things further. They sometimes argue that violence is justified, and they try to defend it in other contexts when it suits them. This is raising a concern in him that they tinker with things which they don't know how they can pan out, and this can turn against them. But the student is still trying to justify her strong stance.
Charlie was very aggressive with his views. He was very, at least I think, a lot of the things that I've seen in a lot of the media I ingested from him was anti-college, yet his main source of debate was college campuses. That's a little bit...
Well, yeah, but, okay, hang on. If I had to take classes over again, I don't know what I would do. I would drop out of college immediately, because I just would. So he provided a great service in a college environment. So it's like, yeah, get out and do that.
The professor seems to swing almost entirely to the other side. Of course, he probably doesn't mean it literally. College does have value, and graduating is not a bad thing. But he highlights something important. Universities have, in some respects, become centers of indoctrination. This isn't about the exact sciences, where truth is harder to twist, but rather the social sciences and humanities, which radical leftists can use to shape impressionable young minds, even turning children against their parents. Parents often send their kids unprepared, unable to answer the sophisticated arguments the left puts forward. They may never have thought deeply about these issues, so while conservative parents were often right, they struggled to articulate the reasoning. That's why figures like Charlie Kirk matter. They show there is rationality behind conservative views. Interestingly, some students raised in left-leaning homes also begin to see another side they hadn't considered. In that light, the professor, perhaps half-jokingly, admits that someone like Charlie was needed to bring balance to a narrative that had become overwhelmingly one-sided.
He kind of essentially is assassinated. for his ideas, for challenging people. And whoa.
I think that was a really good segue into this. I think with the combination of possible retaliation and the lack of gun laws, wouldn't gun laws be better if there is a fear of retaliation from the left?
She makes a half-valid point. The more guns are abused and lives lost, the stronger the case for restrictions appears to the left. But many on the right react the opposite way. They feel the need to arm themselves further for protection. Violence, however, cannot prove a political point. It only provokes equal resistance, like force meeting force. Real change comes through persuasion and fair democratic process, where the majority is convinced and the minority agrees to accept such outcome. Not agree, but accept that this is the current state of convictions in society. Laws passed through intimidation breed backlash, but laws passed through conviction earn acceptance, even from those who disagree.
Go beyond guns. Set aside the guns, because somebody, he could have been killed in any other way.
Death means a lot to a lot of people in a lot of different ways, but I'm not sure really what I'm afraid of other than the meaning of it and the symbolism behind his death not being understood and utilized.
So you're not really afraid in the way some people. How about you?
No, I am still afraid. I am still afraid of things going south because things can go south.
Now she's realized that force, no matter how one tries to justify it, inevitably provokes an equal force in return. And in this case, the response comes from a direction she doesn't like. Well done. She's grasped that principle.
Do you have?
I do. I think another fear is maybe someone taking it upon themselves to handle his unfinished business, because I'm sure a lot of people that supported Charlie Kirk feel like, oh, he's gone too soon, he wasn't done, like the things he was pushing, he was making change. Other people may feel the need to echo him or carry on the rhetoric he was pushing, and I don't think that's beneficial at all.
She fears Charlie Kirk's ideas gaining traction. Yet most were mainstream conservative, often rooted in Christian values, not fringe extremes. Now, some of his ideas Christians wouldn't endorse, but these are few. And maybe he changed them, or also likely was misquoted. The point here is freedom of speech. Free speech means letting ideas be heard, not silenced. If her views are stronger, they should prevail through open debate, not suppression. Bad ideas fall naturally when tested.
His whole thing was prove me wrong, and I think that's the basis of debate, but I find the issue is, and I think the reason why he rubbed so many people the wrong way was that he acted almost as if he never really had the intention to be proved wrong. You say as much like, oh, I'm really open-minded and I want to have my opinion changed. If you give me the right statistics, you give me the right emotional basis, you use the Constitution, use these things to actually prove me wrong, I will change my opinion.
She accuses him of being disingenuous, that he isn't truly open, that he doesn't speak honestly, that his mind is already made up and nothing could change it. But even if that were true, there's no evidence that Charlie Kirk's positions have shifted in any substantial way. And yet, the platform he provided still mattered. Hundreds of millions, some even claim close to 1 billion viewers each month, were exposed not only to his views but also to opposing arguments. Even if he himself would never admit to being wrong, the sheer reach of his platform meant that countless others could hear the debate, weigh the evidence, and possibly change their minds. And, to be fair, the professor would add that Kirk's views have in fact evolved on some issues.
You felt as though it wasn't really genuine. So for example, for me, yeah, that's really important. So you felt all along like, yeah, it's not really genuine. You're not, Can I tell you a story though? Charlie, as somebody who's been around a long time, I will guarantee that he changed a lot of his ideas as a result of a lot of these debates. Just go in a slightly different direction.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I just would like to know in what ways he showed that he was changing his mind, or maybe he showed some progression in his thinking.
There are many things that Charlie said that you would agree with.
That I would agree with?
For sure.
No.
She claims that he never changes his views, but in truth, She is the one who refuses to reconsider her own, and this answer shows it. She doesn't even take the time to look at the full range of what he says and ask, "Do I agree with this point or not?" Instead, she dismisses everything outright. But how can she know she wouldn't agree with him on at least some things? Consider just a few examples of his positions. Support for families. He argues that young people should be supported so they can marry, raise children, and create stable households. An idea central to every flourishing society. Condemnation of injustice abroad. He highlights brutal practices in some Sharia-run states, such as stoning for adultery or killing homosexuals. Surely we can agree such acts are barbaric. Informed citizenship. He insists that students and citizens should study the issues and understand the political process, rather than casting votes blindly. Free speech and debate. He defends the idea that all viewpoints should be heard on campus, not censored because they're unpopular. Isn't the whole point of a university to expose people to ideas and arguments? Economic opportunity. He stresses the importance of a system where hard work and innovation are rewarded, so people can rise from poverty into the middle class. Which of these she wouldn't agree with?
Well, listen to what I said earlier. He said the guy was talking every single day, just like me. I have thousands hours of video. He has probably 100,000 hours of video. There are things that he said that I will guarantee you would say, oh yeah, a lot of things that he said that you'd be like, yeah, that's actually a really good point, and that's a smart point, and that's good, that's bad, you know.
Oh, I'm sure, but with the context and with just everything altogether, Charlie Kirk as a whole, I know I do not agree with. He could say and have, some clear points that are factually true or statistically true or morally true in rare cases, but that doesn't mean I agree with him and everything that he did. I wouldn't even say I agree with him.
It's not everything. It's some things, right? And so
Sure.
Even though she strongly opposes Charlie Kirk, she realizes now and admits a possible agreement with some of his moral points. That's the value of dialogue, starting with common ground, listening, and gradually working through disagreements. Honest exchange allows both sides to shift, grow, and move closer to truth together.
People laugh about this. Like, I've seen it on TikTok now. Like, people are laughing that, an influential person in our world that made us question our beliefs, just like you do yourself, It's not funny. No one should die.
how often do you think about us spiraling into some kind of civil war? Like really, the violence just grows and grows and grows. And are you afraid? Do you have any fear of that? Like, y'all are young.
I'm afraid of the fact that in past terrorism results, our nation has come together, and this has separated us even more. And I think that's really terrifying.
Wait, can you say that? First off, what's your name?
My name's Natalie.
Natalie?
Yeah.
Can you say that again? Okay, but now go to Civil War level.
But yeah, that's what I was going to get to. We've caught.
There's a clear divide among the students. Most who spoke so far were firmly left-leaning and initially dismissed Charlie Kirk, though some later admitted there was something valuable in his talks. Then a few male students said openly that dialogue matters, that there were good points, and that more conversation means less violence, while silence and festering anger breeds more conflict. That's a strong takeaway. This professor facilitated a dialogue which shows us how to make things work out in a divided nation, peacefully talk it over, and do good to each other.
She said someone could take his rhetoric and push it further, where I think we're looking at oh, he had so many supporters, but he didn't talk to his supporters. He talked to people that went against him and shared everybody's beliefs, which if you're sharing your beliefs and having civil conversations like that, it prevents violence and it prevents getting shot.